Ed, for what you guys talked, it seems like you were the guy who warned him because of your experience. Ed was a loud, radical person, but both of you guys came from the same school, which is the Marines.
Right.
What was your first impression? Was it more like support or liability? What did you think when you met this guy?
Well, being a Marine, it's one of those things where, it's like whatever happens, I got to do something here, because that's just how it is. When you go through that rite of passage, anyone else who has, you can look at him as a brother. So I was really trying, to explain to him what I'd seen over the first year, but he didn't get it yet until the end. So he didn't see the dangers lurking, because he was really into standing up for what he believed in and his rights and so on. Where even like these guys, we used to talk all the time. It's like, oh God, it's like you see all the stuff going around in the background where he'd be like, these guys are great. I hang out with the cartel guys and so on, and it's like it was great, but it was very dangerous. The air was as thick as molasses around this guy. It was like everybody wanting something from him, but he's, he was just going ahead with his normal life in there like it was just another day. And hey, ignorance is bliss. He didn't see the danger, so for him, he never had any real danger happen to him. But the potential danger was always there, and we were just, you could feel it. I mean, these guys looked so stressed all the time, running with him with all the maguilas and coming back from the visit, because there were so many people who wanted something out of him.
And there were so many people following.
Yeah.
And, I want Alex to get
crowds
on the impression of what I looked like when I went in there.
Yeah, he was huge back then, and it was like, and he kept working out in there because everything was available. So he was training in there, getting bigger, getting more aggressive, and then the guys who ran the cartel really loved that stuff, and they got him into the football thing. The next thing you know, he's managing a football team, and we're playing American football down there. They got everybody in gear. I mean, it kept going ahead full steam. It was just the most amazing.
And they would have fights. They would pit people against each other. So
and they like to see him do his thing. They all want to see this Marine Corps thing, so they'd bet money and go take him to these pit fights, and like a pit bull, he'd come back, and they just really wanted to see how far it could go. And Servando really liked him for one reason. I guess he just liked the whole idea of someone standing up like that. They weren't used to seeing things like that. Everybody, like they say, todo el mundo paga la lista. Todo el mundo pasa la lista. And except he didn't pass the list. He refused. And then he's like, what you gonna do about it? So yeah, the custodios didn't know what to think of him, because they're like, he must have something backing him up, because even the director's down at his room all the time. So people didn't know what to make of him, really. They couldn't put their finger on it, so they never took a chance. And sure enough, I mean, by the time it was all over, they passed the torch to him. He'd gotten really tight with those guys. He'd been living, we only lived 3 doors down from them, really, or 4 doors down from all the shot callers, so they spent every day hanging out.
The shot caller, Servando. And, I remember Gregorio telling me, I couldn't understand what he was saying, but he was always trying to warn me. You be careful, and, it's you against everybody. And I would talk a lot of shit. I'm an American, and fuck Mexico, and and I'm in a Mexican prison, and I would do that in front of this guy, Alex, all the time. I would say, fuck Mexico, America, America, America. I would do stuff like that, and he would just be
cringing. It's like, explain damage control. It's like, well, he's very patriotic.
I can remember poker games, actually, where he would be in the background, and all the Servando's monstros would be in the room, 10 guys with swords, and he would start talking about how corrupt America is. And at the time, Clinton was going through impeachment because of the Monica Lewinsky thing. So they were talking a lot of shit about America. And I remember in the poker game, I said, well, Mexico isn't shit, we take a shit on Mexico every day if we want. Fuck Mexico. And there's 30 Mexicans in the room, and I'm telling the shot caller this, fuck Mexico. And Alex is standing behind in the very corner just watching me play poker, saying this, just going, oh my God. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. That was a tense night, man. And they would play until the sun would come up. So, and the whole time they keep going, tell them, to translate. They wanted to translate everything, and they were planning and scheming, and you know, it's every day they kept getting tighter and tighter until finally, despite everything, Servando and him ended up going into business of their own, you know.
Does Gregorio remember the poker games? Asking that. Did I have the shot
¿Tú
callers?
supiste o te diste cuenta cuando ellos jugaban baraja, cartas,
Cartas.
póker?
Sí,
¿Llegaste a ver uno de esos juegos?
sí, cuando estaban jugando, o sea, apostaban dinero, jugaban de mucho dinero, estaban bebiendo, inhalando coca, o sea, de todo había ahí, o sea, hacían de un momento toda una noche, se la pasaban jugando,